From Dallas, Texas, the flash, apparently official, President Kennedy died at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, some 38 minutes ago. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
It is my duty to the American people to report that renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas and the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply. But repeated acts of violence against the armed forces of the United States must be met not only with alert defense, but with positive reply.
The Gulf of Tonkin resolution was not a declaration of war. There never was a declaration of war in Vietnam, but it served much the same purpose. The president was given broad powers to wage war. One of the biggest targets of the Vietnam-era war was Laos. Some of the raids were aimed at communist insurgents, and others at the Ho Chi Minh Trail, the system of roads that the enemy used to carry men and supplies to the south.
Our objective is to affect and reduce the capability of the North Vietnamese to infiltrate men and equipment from North Vietnam into South Vietnam, particularly to reduce their ability to infiltrate into Laos and through the roads of Laos into South Vietnam. I think you're familiar with the routes they've been using.
The sky was the limit, and in March 1965, the first American combat troops arrived in Vietnam.
There's something happening here. What it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware. I think it's time we stop, children. What's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
Well, when I got to Vietnam, I literally expected to be welcomed with open arms by the people of Vietnam. I had in my head the black and white newsreels I had seen of the American troops rolling through villages in France and being showered with wine and flowers and kisses.
So much resistance. Time we stopped. Hey, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down.
And I think it was at that point that I realized things were not quite what I was expecting. It became obvious that the enemy was the very people in these villages around us, and we were in a very heavily populated area at that time. They were the enemy, or at least the enemy was out there somewhere, and we couldn't tell one from another.
It's time to stop. Everybody look what's going down.
Comme vous savez, en effectuant des attaques et des bombardements aériens contre la République démocratique du Nord Vietnam, parallèlement à l'intensification de la guerre d'agression au sud, les impérialistes américains escomptent de pouvoir ébranler le moral de notre peuple et puis détruire le potentiel militaire et économique de notre pays et par là renverser la situation au sud Vietnam en leur faveur.
General Westmoreland's strategy had been to take the fight away from the villages, to block the enemy's infiltration routes, and to try to lead him into pitched battles where America's strength could prevail. Ia Drang Valley was that sort of battle. American air cavalry fighting not Viet Cong guerrillas this time, but the regular army of North Vietnam.
I feel that the war in Vietnam is clearly an unjust war. And I think there are many reasons why it is an unjust war. It is basically a civil war, and I can't see for the world of me why our nation is involved 8,000 miles away from home in what is basically a civil war. It puts us in the position of being against the self-determination of a people.
Consider what was happening at the start of 1968. Almost 500,000 American troops were in Vietnam. Our leaders, both civilian and military, were optimistic that the war was being won. The commanding general, William Westmoreland, declared, "We have reached an important point where the end begins to come into view." The enemy struck across the length and breadth of South Vietnam, shattering what had been a holiday truce. The holiday was Tet, the Lunar New Year. The enemy struck all over South Vietnam. More than 100 cities, provincial capitals, towns, and military bases. Communists did demonstrate their ability to plan and coordinate a massive nationwide attack, striking in surprisingly large numbers. For the first time, the Viet Cong invaded the cities in force, including Saigon itself. A suicide attack into the grounds of the American embassy. Hue, the ancient imperial capital, communist troops established a revolutionary government and held out for more than 3 weeks of bitter fighting. At Khe Sanh in the northwest, American Marines were surrounded and under siege, depending on airstrikes to hold off a threatened enemy attack. For years, there have been optimism, talk about light at the end of the tunnel. That light would never seem bright again after Tet.
The villagers' version of the incident was given by survivors yesterday. They said a patrol of 100 Americans stormed into the hamlet, drove all the residents out of their huts, then opened fire with automatic weapons. 2 American soldiers, one an officer, the other an enlisted man, are being held in this country in connection with the case, but neither has been brought to trial.
I have concluded that I should not permit the presidency to become involved in the partisan divisions that are developing in this political year. With American sons in the field far away, with America's future under challenge right here at home, accordingly, I shall not seek and I will not accept the nomination of my party for another term as your president.